Have you ever wondered what makes a marriage voidable? In this video, we will simplify the legal term and explain the concept of voidable marriages in a way that anyone can understand. Whether you are married or planning to tie the knot someday, it is important to know the circumstances under which a marriage can be declared voidable. Section 12 of the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. Grounds for voidable marriages. Voidable marriages, as per the law, can be annulled or declared void on specific grounds. Let's break them down for you. Section 12 Part 1. Importance. It states that, if the marriage has not been consummated due to one partner being impotent, it can be declared voidable. In simpler terms, if one spouse can't engage in intimate relations due to a physical issue, the marriage can be annulled. Contravention of conditions. It states that, if the marriage violates certain conditions specified in the law, it can also be declared voidable. For instance, if the marriage goes against the rules set by the law, it might not be legally valid. Consent and force or fraud. It involves the consent of both parties. If one person's consent was obtained through force or fraud related to the marriage, it can be declared voidable. In simple terms, if someone was pressured or tricked into the marriage, it may be annulled. Pregnancy by another person. It states that if, at the time of marriage, one spouse is pregnant with someone else's child, it can be declared voidable. So, if one partner discovers that the other is expecting a child from a different person, the marriage can be annulled. Section 12 Part 2. Expectations. However, there are some conditions when you can file for an annulment, which bring to our next segment. Time limit. This section is all about the time limit for filing for something called an annulment in a marriage. For an instance, let's say something really wrong happened in your marriage, like someone forced you into it or there was a big lie such as fraud. So Section 12 Part 2a says that if you want to undo the marriage because of these reasons, you have to do it within 1 year of finding out about the force or fraud or when it stops happening. So, if you discover the problem after a year or keep living together like a married couple after finding out, it might be too late to annul the marriage. Ignorance. Now, let's talk about this section. This one is about a ground for annulment mentioned in Clause D of Section 12 Part 1. Clause D of Section 12 Part 1 states that if, at the time of marriage, one spouse is pregnant with someone else's child, it can be declared voidable. To get this kind of annulment, you need to show 3 things. Number 1, you didn't know about the problem when you got married. Number 2, you started the legal process for annulment within 1 year of either your marriage or when this law started, depending on when you got married. Number 3, you haven't had intimate relations with your spouse after discovering the problem. So, if you meet these conditions, you might be able to get an annulment even if some tricky stuff was going on when you said I do. And that's a simplified explanation of voidable marriages. Remember, these laws are in place to protect individuals from unfair or unwanted marriages. Whether you're married or plan to get married, it's essential to understand your legal rights and responsibilities. If you ever find yourself in such a situation, consult with a legal expert for guidance. If you have any questions or need more information, feel free to reach out to us. Stay informed and make informed decisions.